Okay, off we go. So can you hear me? Can you wave if there's a problem or something, or interrupt me with the internet? Okay. Great. Okay, so I'd like us to start actually with a passive pose. Okay, so what you're going to need, you can either have some bricks, which you might have at hand, or a bolster, which would be better. Okay. Surya Darshini's gone into all very kind of, oh, there she is. Okay. It's like a fadey background. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to come into a prone twist. You might remember this. So you've got your support in front of you along the mat, yeah? And the legs you fold to one side, okay? So it's as though you're sitting with on side saddle is the best description. So my legs are to one side, and then I'm turning towards the support. I'm turning my chest towards the support, and I turn away from the legs if that's possible. Yeah. If it's not okay in the neck, then you can turn the head the other way. Okay, so you could have the head centered, and I want you to lie down, broaden out across the elbows and shoulders and upper back. So I'm just going to see what's happening there. Okay, that's it. And I want you to start to feel the support. So, yeah, we're lucky. We've got a couple of doctors on this. Oh, there's someone else coming, Rebecca. Okay. Yeah, we've got a couple of doctors on this course. So one of the doctors was talking about how the sympathetic nervous system, you find it in the chest area. So when we overstimulate that area, we actually move towards a more overstimulated state. So one of the benefits of lying down on a bolster is it calms down the chest area. Therefore, it calms down the sympathetic nervous system. Therefore, it helps the shift towards the parasympathetic, which is a more desirable state when you're practicing yoga. So you move away from the fight, flight, as it's called, and you move towards a more relaxed state. Okay. Hi there, Rebecca. So we've just started. So we're coming into a prone twist. You can see me doing that. So I'm lying over a bolster. I'm spreading the elbows. I'd like you just to spend a few moments here at the beginning of the session, tuning in with your breath and beginning to engage with this practice, which we're going to base around twists. So there's a lot of asymmetrical work here. So as I described in the WhatsApp, it's like balancing up the two sides of the body, and we're emphasizing lengthening the spinal column. So the twist is with the bolster and legs to one side, and then you're lying down towards the support. Yeah, so you do need some sort of support for the chest, for the belly. So feel the belly against the bolster, feel the chest. I'm just going to put Rebecca into mute. So, okay. Great. Also getting a sense of your mood this afternoon, how you are. And an overall sense of your body. So we're going to change sides now. So without disturbing yourself too much, I'd like you to place the palms down, swing into all fours, and swing the legs to the other side. Okay. Keeping the bolster close into the hips. We fall back down, release back down over the support. The head's turning now away from the legs, the opposite direction. Again, spreading the elbows. So your chest, your belly is meeting the support. And we're going to rest there for a minute or two, a couple of minutes. Okay. Again, connecting with the breath. This first pose, a more passive twist. One thing that we've been really emphasizing this course, as we did last year, was really working very gently in the twist. So it's something I want to draw out again, just to remind you. So we're not pulling aggressively into the twisting action. So this pose actually sets up a sense of the mood of the twists. Okay, so there's a sense of releasing. With twists, the key, there's two key movements, right? One is lengthening the axis, and then it's turning the axis. So that it's all about the spinal column, the axis. See if you can, as it were, crawl back into the physical experience, opening up to the whole body. And taking a few breaths to connect with your experience. From there, we're going to re-ground the palms underneath the shoulders, push back up into all fours again, and remove the support. And I want you to come into all fours. Okay. Grounding your palms underneath your shoulders, your knees more or less under the hips. We're going to come into a cat-cow movement. So I'd like you to be aware of the upper back, even though the pelvis is doing, there's a sense that the movement comes from the pelvis. As you exhale, you tip your pelvis back. And as you inhale, tipping the pelvis forwards and looking forwards. So we're gently rocking the pelvis back, but also bringing awareness into the mid-spine, the thoracic spine. As you inhale, the cow pose, looking forwards, possibly looking up. Exhale, curling into the center line, or through the center line, looking back. Gently mobilizing the spine with this movement, feeling the contact with the floor, the knees. If it's hard on the knees, you can always bring some padding in, yeah? Okay, coming into a neutral spine. And then as we bring the hands towards the center line, okay, so the thumbs are touching. The thumbs are touching, and as we inhale, I want you to swing to one side, looking up, not overextending the neck. And as you exhale, palm comes down to the center again, and inhale to the opposite side, opening out, exhaling. And see if you can initiate the movement from the center of the body. It's very much from the thoracic area, from the mid-spine. It's the rib cage which is turning. As we inhale, turn. As we exhale, back to center. Really conscious of the neck. So if it's not good on your neck, let the gaze be more towards the floor. And emphasize more the shoulder, thoracic work. Next time you turn to the right, extend and place the palm on the back, the right hand on the back of the pelvis, on the sacrum, and see if you can lengthen more consciously through the axis. In fact, you can look down for a moment, really centering the spine over the center line of your mat and turning from there. If that's okay, turning the chest, turning the shoulders, turning the head. last of all, breathing there. So I'm just going to check what's happening. Okay. So you can, there's a sense of drawing the shoulder blade down the back. Okay. And then release back down to center. Inhale to your left. The pelvis may well turn a little bit, but try to have a sense of the pelvis facing the floor. Look down to begin with, noticing the difference between the two sides of the body. See if you can lengthen the axis. It's surprisingly challenging, this pose. Turning the head last of all, but the main emphasis here is turning the spine, the mid-back, chest area. Keep breathing, keep lengthening, softening in the face. You'll be aware of the pelvis wanting to move to one side. So if you can center the pelvis and basically having it facing the floor. Exhale, we're going to release down to center and release to the floor into child's pose. Rest the head. Releasing the arms. Softening the neck and shoulders. Okay, from there, inhaling into all fours. So I would put some padding. I'm going to use a brick. You could use a blanket or something under your left knee and place your right leg forwards. Okay, so we're going to intensify a little bit more. Okay, let's just start by gently warming up the hip area. So as we exhale, you move back. You can allow your right foot to lift. And as you inhale, sliding forwards, the gaze can go forwards. Exhale, moving back. Walking your hands forwards. Walking the hands back. You can allow your front foot to lift. So it's not a really intense stretch, okay, on the back of the thigh when we come back on the exhale. Synchronizing with the breath, inhaling forwards, exhale back. Coming forwards on the next inhale, I want you to place your left palm on the floor, more or less directly underneath the left shoulder. Looking down, and then once again turning now to the right. You can place your right hand on the back of the pelvis or on the right hip, and see if you can really lengthen through the spine using that triangle between the left knee, the left hand, and the spine to lengthen the spine. So think about actual lengthening, and then you want to just gently close the space. It's like you're hugging your thigh into the center line towards your right arm. Or yeah, you're hugging the thigh in, so it depends which side you're on, okay? Exhale, releasing down, palms grounded, all fours, taking the brick or support to the other side, left foot forwards. I tuck the back toes under as we inhale, sliding the pelvis forwards. Exhale, sliding the pelvis back, allowing the toes to lift. Gently moving between a forward action on the inhale, the gaze can go towards the horizon. And on the exhale, moving into a mild hamstring stretch. Back of the leg stretch. Walking your hands forwards on the inhale, gaze forwards, exhale. Next time we inhale, coming forwards and grounding your palm. So if your left foot is forwards, it's your right hand on the floor. And then we're going to turn to the left. Look down to begin with. Look down. So you want to bring your front leg, the inner leg, towards the center line, so it's not collapsing out. And then turn your belly, turn your chest towards the inner leg. And then finally turn the head. Breathing there, you're grounding through the right palm. If your left leg is forwards. And again, re-clarify axial lengthening. Depending on how much you can stretch your back leg, you can go deeper into the lunge, exploring that part of the pose. But mainly I want to emphasize lengthening the spine. Next time we exhale, releasing down. Okay, so not everybody might want to do dog pose, but I'm going to invite you to take a dog pose, opening the backs of the legs. If that, Harry, is not good on your tendons, then come into something a bit more restful, or just a mild stretch where you've got one knee down and open the backs of the legs that way. Okay, really taking care of what's happening in the legs. Okay, so we're going to step the right foot forwards once again. So this is like a step up. So Harry, I'm just thinking of you now. If you don't want to stretch the back leg, put a brick underneath it. On an inhale, I want you to come all the way up. Okay, take your left arm up and hook the left elbow across your thigh. Palms now come together. And then we're turning to the right, and if your body allows, extending the back leg. So you're making a really strong back leg. If that doesn't feel okay with the legs, keep the leg down. The gaze can go out to the right, breathing there. So it's like a high lunge twist. So if we can engage the back leg strongly, so there's a sense of projecting from the back heel to the crown. Okay, so you could try Harriet, the same pose but with the back knee down. See how that feels. Okay. Okay. Exhaling, release down, all fours. So if you want, taking dog pose, opening out the backs of the legs. If you've got support there, moving it across. Left foot comes forwards. We're going to come all the way up into the vertical. Take your right arm up towards the vertical and then hook across, right elbow across, palms together. Engaging the right leg, a sense of projecting from the back leg to the crown, gently turning. So rather than look up here, which just really overworks my neck, I'm looking slightly down but out to the side. Okay, so I'm keeping the neck fairly neutral, emphasizing lifting away from the left thigh, breathing there, back leg active, breathing. We'll take 3 more breaths there. Probably going to be breathing a bit quicker. So as you exhale, release the palms down and either coming into all fours, stretching one leg at a time, or into dog pose. Okay, I want you to walk your feet forwards now, coming up into the vertical. I'm just on screen there, that's good. Okay, I'd like us to get a pile. You could, if you've got a cork brick, that would be ideal. Otherwise, you could use a pile of bricks. I'm going to put them on the left corner of my mat. Okay. And then I'm going to step the left leg back. So I think you just have to do what you can here. Harriet, this is the one really challenging leg pose, okay, that we're going to do. So you've got a medium stance between the feet, the back foot deep turned in, the pelvis towards the short edge of your mat. I want you to take your left arm up, and then we're going to reach forward, projecting forward through the left arm. You can have your right hand on your right thigh if you want to do that. Exhale, releasing down, bring the palm. So it's well supported, this pose, okay? Well supported. So you're bringing your fingertips or your palm down to the bricks. Then take your right hand back and place it on the hip or on the back of the pelvis, and then try and lengthen through the spine, engaging both legs towards straight legs and turning to your right. It's a sense of a long spine, but engaged legs as we're coming into Parivrtta Trikonasana. If you get the turning through the chest sufficiently without straining, you could think about taking your top arm up. So the right arm floats up towards the vertical, basically in line with the lower arm. And you want to watch that you're not leaning back too strongly in the pose. If you can, try to draw yourself towards the center line. Okay, and then releasing down all the way to the floor. Step back dog pose. Open out the backs of the legs, walk forwards again. Move the bricks to the other side. Coming up. And left foot forwards, right leg back. So I'm going to let my left hand rest on the left thigh, projecting up through the right arm, both legs straightening, projecting through, forwards, lengthening out there, and then placing the right hand down to the bricks. You can adjust the brick position, maybe closer in, maybe further forwards. Once you've got that, moving the left hand onto the pelvis, lengthening through the spine. I'm really noticing the left side is so much easier than the right side. So you might notice a difference there. So extending through the spine and then turning, both legs engaging if you can. If you've got the turning, it feels okay on the neck, shoulders, take your top arm up. Reaching up, reaching out. If it's not feeling okay on the neck, we look down. One advantage of looking down is you can really check that you're bringing your spine into the plane of the pose. So it's a sense of lining up to the medial line. So it's one advantage of looking down from time to time, and then look out to the side or look up. You've got your balance and it feels okay on the neck. Releasing the top arm down, bending the front leg. We'll push the bricks forwards and push back into dog pose or into all fours. Opening the backs of the legs. Inhale, coming down to all fours. Now I like to bring your legs forwards of you. You're going to move back to the floor, okay? So the first pose here in the seated sequence is going to be shoelace. I want you to bring your left leg underneath, your right leg on top, and wrapping. There's a sense of interlacing the legs. This is a yin style pose. Powerful work on the pelvis. And then we rest the hands on the top knee. As you come up into a tall spine, we're going to close the eyes for a moment. Allow the body to, as it were, calm down, cool down after those standings. Allowing your weight to sink through the sitting bones. Softening around the shoulders. And on an inhale, I want you to take both arms up towards the vertical. So we're really lengthening through the spine. Maybe it's helpful to look. So we're lengthening up. So we're going to revolve in both directions. Okay, so the first turning is going to be if you've got your right leg on top, you're going to turn to the left. So we're going to turn out to the left, bring the right forearm to the inner right knee, and then just gently rotating. So we're using the arms more like guides. To not overwork your neck, we can play with this idea of taking the gaze forwards and then gently coaxing around the mid-back, thoracic back. So if it feels okay on the neck, then you can start to look in the same direction as the chest. And then you can explore turning the head, but no straining in the neck. Once you've set it up, we're going to close the eyes, reconnect with the breath, spending a few moments just in stillness. So these are naturally somehow more meditative, these sitting twists, looking to get a sense of releasing from inside the body, as it were, from the axis, softening the heart center, softening the space between the shoulder blades. Sometimes referred to as the back heart. So we're softening the back heart, space between the shoulder blades. Inhale, releasing round the center, floating the arms up again. Re-clarifying, lengthening the axis. And we're going to now turn to the opposite side. So you're now turning towards the top leg and gently turning to the right. Hopefully, if the right leg's on top, it'll be the left. If it's the left leg on top. And then once again, take the gaze forwards for a moment to clarify what's happening in the neck. If it feels okay in the neck, turning out to the right, to the side, same direction as the chest. Possibly turning to look back, and then once again, we can close the eyes. What we're looking to do is really broaden across the tops of the shoulders. Broadening across the tops of the shoulders. Connecting with your breath. Connecting with the sensations around the upper body. Taking your attention into the shoulders, the chest, the back of the body, the upper back, thoracic area. Space between the shoulder blades. So-called back heart area. Okay, releasing around the center. Okay, I'm going to release out the legs and gently stretch out the legs. You can come into dog pose if you wish, or keep it more quiet, just a leg stretch. Depends how much you want to do there. So opening the backs of the legs one way or another after having them in shoelace. Coming down again, legs come forwards. This time it's the left leg on top, the right leg underneath. Once again, for a moment, rest the hands on the top knee, sense of growing the spine. So try not to lean back in this pose, or lean to one side, or lean to the other side. Sense of growing the spine. Floating your arms up towards the vertical, really growing the spine. Lengthening through the axis. And then we're going to turn first to the right side. So you're turning away from the top leg. It should be slightly gentler on the pelvic lumbar connection. So you're sort of opening the belly away from the legs, opening the chest away from the legs. Once you've set it up, taking awareness into the neck. Careful what you do with your neck and head, closing the eyes for a moment. Sense of drawing the tops of the shoulders down, broadening, opening across the tops of the shoulders. moving the shoulders away from the ears, looking for a sense of space in the heart center. On the next inhale, we float back to center, float the arms back up to the vertical, growing the spine and turning out to the opposite side. Breathing there. Once you've set the pose up, you can close your eyes, allowing your awareness to go into the body. What's happening? Where can you feel this pose? If you can move the shoulders away from the ears, a sense of shoulder blades also moving away from each other. So a sense of space between the shoulder blades. Okay, now from there, releasing around the center, releasing the legs. Once again, taking a leg stretch, whichever is appropriate for you. Opening backs of legs. Lengthening your spine, dog pose, or from all fours, lengthening one leg at a time. Okay, from there, coming once again into a forward sitting position. I'd like you to have, have a little bit of support to sit on here. So I'm going to sit on one brick, okay, just to get a little bit more height in this pose. I'm going to come into Marichyasana. Okay. So we're going to lengthen the legs forwards. Back. Okay. And then I want you to bend up your right leg. So remember you don't have to have the inner legs together, so we can remember the tram lines here. So I want you to embrace your right shin, growing the spine. Let me turn sideways. So you can grow your spine, vertebra by vertebra, sense of keeping the chest open. And then we're going to reach up again. So you're floating your right arm up, just the right arm, keeping hold with the left forearm. Turning, maybe it's helpful to have another brick to have a sense of lifting in the back arm. And then your left arm forwards and wrapping. So rather than hooking, we're going to wrap. I'm sure we've done this before. Okay, so there's a sense of hugging your right thigh towards your chest, growing up through that space of hugging your thigh to your chest, growing your spine. Again, conscious of the neck. If it feels okay to turn and look back, that's fine. But if you then find that you've got loads of strain and a lot of attention in the upper back and neck, see if you can neutralize what's going on in your neck. So turning the head maybe more to center, the same direction as the chest. Breathing there. Growing up through the spine as we turn. Gently feeling what's happening in the upper back, feeling what's happening in the lower back. Your straight leg is lightly engaged because your one advantage with this pose is the straight leg acts as a kind of anchor to turn away from. Grow your spine and releasing around the center. Change legs. So we're now bending up the left leg, embrace the left shin, growing your spine. So if it's not helpful having a brick underneath the sitting bones, then just take the brick away, that's fine. Floating your left arm up, still holding on to the right shin, turning out to the left, wrapping your right arm around the left leg. As we turn to the left now, growing the spine. Think about that space between the shoulder blades, so closing the eyes. So we were talking about this on the course a few days ago, but that space between the shoulder blades, in fact, the whole upper back, in some ways is quite a dark area of the body. It's an area that we don't necessarily see. We're not necessarily aware of what's happening in the upper back and shoulders. They're kind of out of sight, out of mind, okay? So you want to be really taking your attention, soaking it into the back of the body, especially the upper back. Lengthening through the right leg. Grounding. Sense of grounding the right leg and turning away from the right leg. If it's helpful, you've got a brick behind you as well. So the back arm is acting as a support, as a guide. Okay, and I'm going to release back round to center. And I want you to turn your brick. If you're on a brick, turn it so you've got the corner coming forwards. And we're going to extend the legs now wide. So the idea is that the underside of the thighs is free. So this is why we're turning the brick on the corner. Okay, if you're not using a brick, then don't worry about that. And then I want us to take, so we're going to take the right arm, I'm going to take the right arm around the back of the body and take hold of like the trouser leg, okay, if I can. Another way of doing that is putting a strap around the left thigh and taking hold of the strap. But if you can, just take hold of the cloth, as it were, of your trousers or whatever you're wearing. Okay, so we're going to take the left arm up, floating up. And then we're going to reach towards the right leg. So you're reaching out towards your right leg, keeping both legs active. So this is not really a twist as such at the moment. It's more like a forward fold with a bit of, as it were, deviation to the right. So if you can soften around the shoulders, if your hand just comes to your shin, that's fine. But then from here, we're going to stay low and sweep the left hand across between the legs towards your left leg. And then we're going to gently turn towards the ceiling. So if you can keep hold of the trouser. Okay, and you're rotating your chest up gently towards the ceiling, engaging both legs. You'll notice it more now on your left leg. This work. Breathing there. Okay, so you can feel what's happening in the lower back, the lateral part of the body. Maybe especially on the right side, but there's a gentle turning towards the sky. And then releasing your arms, floating back up to center for a moment. Float both arms up, growing your spine, reaching up. So now we're going to take the left hand around the back of the body. If you can, taking hold of the trouser. Unfortunately, I've got trousers which are a bit loose. If that's really not working for you, put a strap, okay? So you just thread a strap around the thigh, taking your right arm up and reach first of all towards your left leg. So a forward fold, slightly deviated to the left. Opening out both legs. Engaging both legs. From there, we're going to sweep across and forwards. So we bring the right arm towards the right leg. Maybe you take hold of the foot, maybe you don't. Turning the palm up. And gently turning up towards the ceiling. Lengthening as much as you can through the right side of the body. Feeling where the resistance is in the pose. It's probably going to feel quite tight in the left side of the body. There's a lateral movement. Okay. Breathing now. Again, careful with your neck. Gently connecting with the breath, connecting with the sensations. So having this arm behind you just helps with a sense of opening of the thoracic area, top shoulder area. Releasing the hands, a sense of gently floating up towards the vertical, both arms, growing the spine. Okay, then we're going to release forwards, straight forwards if you can, into a forward fold without forcing the body, allowing your body to come forward. If you're coming close to the floor, close enough to support the head, then you could support the head on a brick, for example. Possibly going a little bit deeper into the pose. Sense of softening the back of the body. At the same time as engaging your legs. From here, with an inhale, gently floating up to center, take your hands around the back of the legs and draw yourself back into center. Okay, so we're going to lie down onto the back now. Coming into semi-supine. And just for a moment, resting the back on the floor. So I'd like to bring your hands, if you can, into a T shape, okay? T shape. Slightly tricky. Okay, so floating your thighs in towards your chest. And then we're going to take both legs to the left. Okay, as high, as close to your chest as possible. And then the gaze is going to go to your right. As we inhale, we straighten the right leg, keeping the thigh bones lined up. And as we exhale, we bend. So it's like a dynamic twist. As you inhale, you straighten the leg. If that's not really clear, maybe it will help just to see what I'm doing. Hopefully you get an idea what I'm doing now. Both thighs straight, extending the leg on the inhale, just engaging the outer thigh. Just do that 5 times. And then on the 5th time, I want you to extend the leg and then release the leg down to the floor so it becomes more passive. You can place your left hand on the right leg, both shoulders sinking, the gaze to the right. So now the legs are passive, but you've got your right leg extended. Taking a few breaths there, allowing your body to rest into the floor. Exhale, opening the eyes. Inhale, we're going to float one leg at a time back to the center. I want you to now to float both legs to your right side. Try to keep the knees as close to your body as possible, okay? So both thighs together, keeping a sense of the thighs lined up. So as we inhale, we project the left leg out to the side, and as we exhale, we fold. So you should feel quite an intense stretch down the side of the thigh, okay? Breathing there. Surya Darshini is checking now what's happening. Okay, that's it, you got it. Okay, so once you get the leg movement clear, it's good to look away from the legs, okay? It feels more, the pose feels more balanced when we are looking away from the legs and you just emphasize the leg movement, okay? Both shoulder blades down. You can also do it with the hands behind the head. If the T shape doesn't work, The idea is to keep the elbows down and the shoulders down. Okay, next, inhale. Reach out and then release the leg down to the floor, so it's more passive. Moving towards a passive, releasing into the pose. Close your eyes. Allow the body to relax or release into this position. Softening once again in the heart area. Softening the face, softening the eyes. Sinking both shoulders, releasing the neck, reconnecting with the breath. And then from there, with an exhale, folding the leg, opening the eyes. Inhale, one leg at a time, floating up to center. And keeping the knees in towards your chest, I'm just going to turn around. I want you to see if you can bring your left forearm behind your legs. So if that doesn't work, you could just bring your left hand behind the legs. But if you can, the whole forearm. And then we're going to once again turn out to the left. So it's going to feel like quite a tight ball shape twist. And then we turn the head to the right. So this is the forearm wrapping round the thighs. It's got a little bit of flexion through the lower spine. So if that really doesn't work for you, then take your arm out. Sometimes there's a proportion issue, and you can just place the left hand on the legs. Okay. That's it. Releasing once again, both shoulders towards the floor. Softening the face, softening around the shoulders and the neck. And then from there, releasing the arm out, we're going to float one leg up to center, the other legs just slightly gentler on the body if you float one leg at a time up, and then wrapping the right forearm around the legs and swinging to your right side. If you can, shoulders down. If it doesn't work for you with the arm behind the legs, take the arm out, place it on top of the legs. Reconnecting with your breathing, a sense of softening into this pose. Releasing, noticing the difference between the right side and the left side of your body. Releasing your right forearm out, floating the left leg to center, followed by the right leg. And then I want you to gather up enough gear to make a little pile underneath the pelvis, okay? So we're going to do a supported inversion. So typically I would say 4 bricks, but if you haven't got 4 bricks, you could use a bolster and maybe a folded blanket. So we're going to prop ourselves up into the supported bridge first of all. Okay, so supported bridge with chest opening. I want you to clarify the sense of lifting and opening now in the upper back. So we've been working a lot of turning from right to left through the upper back. So now it's centered, we're going to emphasize more sense of extension through the upper back. So once you've got yourself set up, what you could do here is engage your arms towards the floor and gently and actively lift the upper back or lift the chest. Sometimes described as lifting the sternum or lifting the heart. Just for a few moments, once you've got that clarified, then soften again, soften that area. So remembering that, so that we've got here, when we work the front of the body, particularly the upper chest, the chest area, we're stimulating the sympathetic nervous system. So you'll notice that in back bend, so they can be stimulating. So once you've set it up, soften the heart area, and then we're going to flow one leg at a time to the vertical, coming up into Viparita Karani. It's probably the best description of this. Checking on your neck. Very simple pose, but very powerful, very useful in terms of coming into an inversion without getting any stress into the upper back and neck. Very different from the full shoulder stand. And I want you to close your eyes here, connecting with your breathing, connecting with the overall shape of the pose, and then tuning in to specific areas, noticing where there might be some tightness, soreness, or tiredness. In principle, this is a restful pose. A little bit of work to keep the legs in the vertical. And a sense of soft and broadening across the upper back, okay? Connecting with your breath. I suppose we can do for some 20 breaths. Naturally, the breath is going to slow down here. Checking that you're releasing around your neck and shoulders, releasing the face. And then when you're ready, dropping one leg down. So again, it's easier on the body to go one leg at a time. Come back to Dviparapidam, the supported bridge. And releasing down. So we're going to take the bricks out. Release down to the floor for a moment. And discard the bricks. And I want you to float both your knees to your hands, taking Apanasana. Let's do this like 10 times. You're floating the knees towards you on the exhale, floating the knees away from you on the inhale. It's more like just gently rocking the pelvis back and forth. With the exhale, it's rocking towards you. Knees come towards you. Inhale away. Okay, and from here, I want to take us into Shavasana. So I'm going to lead that in a little bit. So getting enough support to make that comfortable. So as we usually say, it's good to have some support under the head. And if you've got the bolster or a rolled blanket underneath the backs of the legs, and of course a blanket over the top of you, okay? So making sure you're not gonna, like it's been like crazily warm here for October. We've been really fortunate the last 2 weeks. Likewise, the students, like today's almost been like a summer's day, but it probably isn't like that where you are. So make sure you're going to be warm enough, because it's really important to be warm in relaxation, okay? It's really important. Otherwise, the body is going to be gripping slightly, holding on. Setting yourself up as you wish, remembering there's those 3 adjustments on the spine, lengthening the waist, broadening the upper back, lengthening the neck, okay? I like to be really conscious of the quality of this practice. By its nature, it's somewhat quieter practice. The twists do have this calming, centering quality to them. So tuning in with what's happening in your body, psychophysical being, the sense of your psychophysical energy. It's a really important practice. Shavasana is the practice of relaxation and letting go. It's worth reminding yourself to take some time to rest the body. When we do this practice, there's this movement in the nervous system from the sympathetic towards the parasympathetic. Reclarifying awareness around the breath. Coming into a whole body awareness and observing, noticing, feeling what's happened as a consequence of this practice. Emphasizing the twisting or turning, rotation of the axis. Allow you to become more specifically aware of the feet, toes, soles of the feet, the heels, the ankles. Taking your awareness up into the calves and shins. Into the knees, around the knees. And into your thighs. We did work the thighs quite a bit at the beginning with the lunges and the standings. Might be a gentle glow or echo in that area. Sensation from the standings. And towards the end in the wide leg pose. Take awareness into the pelvis now. See if you can release around the pelvis, pelvic floor, around the hips, around the sacrum, so the area that meets the floor, feeling that contact with the floor. Take your awareness now into the middle of the body, the waist area, the belly, up into the chest and upper back, to the area that we were focusing our attention during the session, especially that space between the shoulder blades. If we can soften there, release. And releasing out the arms, sense of releasing the arms away from the body. Awareness through from the shoulders down into the hands into the shoulders, the wrists, forearms, upper arms. Feeling any points of contact with the floor. Then finally coming up into the shoulders and the neck, the head, feeling the contact with the floor, sense of weight of the head. Allow you to soften around the face, softening the eyes, the jaw, around the ears. And then once again coming into the whole body awareness with the breath. Being aware of this aspect of our experience that of change. Does your body feel like it's changed as a consequence of the practice? Does it feel different? And then you can bring your awareness into your fingertips, into your hands, into your feet, towards the surface of your body. And we're going to gently start to move again, rolling to one side. And come to closing. Thank you very much. I just wanted to check in that's how that landed, okay? So if anybody wants to say anything, I mean, you don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Everything's good? Okay. Okay, great. So, yeah, we'll be in touch, okay? Gonna stop recording.